Welcome to Good Morning Keys on Keys Talk 96.9, 102.5.
And good morning, Keys. Keys Talk 96.9, 102.5, the talk of the Keys, the 5th of June already. I keep saying that. Already almost halfway through the year as we say good morning to you. And it's going to be a wet weekend so far anyway, but it should dissipate by tomorrow for the most part. Today, though, expect showers, 70% chance of those happening today. Tonight, showers, 60% chance, 70% chance of showers into Saturday. Then it backs down to about 50% in the afternoon. And Sunday, 20% chance of showers as well. So things are getting better. We're going to say good morning to Maureen Dunleavy. She is with the Guidance Care Center. Good morning to you, Maureen. How are you?
Good morning, Michael. Wonderful Friday.
It is indeed. I love that attitude. Great to see you, by the way, earlier in the week at the symposium. A lot of people getting together to share some very good ideas. And I, of course, knew the correct answer to your question right off the bat is who here has mental health? And once again, people kind of looked at me until you explained. So thank you. Yeah, maybe we should explain that again here quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, May was Mental Health Awareness Month. So we've been doing a lot of things to raise awareness for mental health. June is actually Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And so the message is that we all have mental health. So mental health is on a continuum. It's just like our physical health. It starts at birth. It goes throughout our lifetime. And then, what happens with our mental health is it dependent upon, our biology, what's happening in the environment, and the tools we have to cope with the stressors of life.
Well, interesting. June, I did not realize that. June has a big birthday for me coming up, and mental health and biology and all those things coming together. It's going to be a fun month. Indeed. Well, we had 3 tragedies in our community within the past week, and that is suicide. So let's talk about suicide prevention because Guidance Care Center is absolutely at the forefront of uplifting the human spirit in the Florida Keys and trying to support those in need and, prevent suicide eventually.
And, like we just mentioned, that mental health is on a continuum. So, everybody has the potential to get to the point to where they don't see a way out or they, are thinking about ending their life or making a decision they can't take back. And unfortunately, springtime is the national highest rate of suicide. And not only did we have 3 suicides in our community, but there's also been a lot of high profile in the media with actors and athletes that have also taken their own life recently. So it's definitely an issue for everybody, not just in our community. And now that we're moving, into hurricane season, that can also be a very stressful time. So we definitely want to raise awareness about the services that Guidance Care Center has. There's lots of tools to be able to cope with what life throws at you. And Guidance Care Center has quite a few tools to be able to help everything from medications to case management to therapy, those kind of supports. And if people find that they're, feeling at the end of their rope and don't know what else to do, we have crisis stabilization. We have our mobile crisis response team that can help to triage whatever's going on and then also to be able to connect to those services.
Well, and Maureen, too, some people also feel additional stress, especially here as far as affordability and financial stress, and that can lead to other crises. It's important to note Guidance Care Center does care for all people of all incomes and walks of life, no matter what the ability to pay. So that should not be a hindrance for reaching out.
And I think it's very important to note that, housing instability, so the cost of living, not, being a renter puts you at highest risk for suicide in our community. We have one of the highest rates of suicide in all of Florida. And yes, so all the services we provide regardless of if an individual can pay or not, regardless of if they have insurance. The mobile crisis response team was developed, in fact, to be able to prevent suicides in our community. And we developed that. It was, the state developed that in 2019. And that's a free hotline that's available 24/7. You're connected to a live person. And that can be accessed through our main number, 305-434-7660, and then press 8 once the script starts. And so that individual is to help to triage what's going on, what can be helpful, what can we connect you to. Of course, nationally, there's also 988 that's available 24/7, where you can connect to an individual to kind of talk about the struggles that are going on. I think the other really big issue in the Keys is, substance use is prominent, and so while a lot of people use, happy hour or going out for drinks as a method to kind of cope, take the edge off of what's going on in their lives, it can become very dangerous when someone is already feeling suicidal or is having thoughts of ending their own life, because alcohol is a depressant. And so actually it's not going to help the depression or the anxiety. It's going to make those symptoms worse. And then, now you're impaired. And so your thinking is not clear, and you may make a decision you can't take back. So it's really, really important that, everybody knows to reach out if they're having thoughts of suicide. That's kind of like the big red flag about, hey, I really need some help. I can't figure this out on my own. You heard me say, and I've said before, that, how dangerous it is to be in your own head without adult supervision, because we can all get to a very dark place when things are tough.
Yeah. Maureen Dunleavy, she is with us from the Guidance Care Center. She's Regional Senior Vice President with Guidance Care Center. And to learn more, guidancecarecenter.org. .org, excuse me. I just said
.org, yes.
.org. Thank you. So, Maureen, we also talk about the warning signs of people who are in crisis or may be becoming in crisis. And sometimes those who are in need just don't have the ability or the wherewithal, whatever it might be, to reach out on their own behalf. The big warning sign then, of course, is withdrawal, is it not?
Yes, withdrawal and isolation. So we talked about our greatest risk factor is that, having the cost of living, the housing issue, the being a renter. Our greatest protective factor is connection. Mm-hmm. And yes, so if we look back, and it's not only for suicide, if you also look at domestic violence, we had recently a domestic violence tragedy in the Keys, but also any sort of violence that happens in the community, mass shootings, those types of things. When they look back on what is the issue or what is the one flag we missed, it's that person was isolated, withdrawn, was not connecting with other people. And so I think it's also a very important message to know that we need to connect to other people, not only for their benefit, but also for our own benefit. And it doesn't really need to be this grandiose, I need to spend hours with somebody. It's enough to just reach out, to be able to check on someone we haven't seen in a while. And then also not to be afraid, especially with people that, our neighbors, our friends, our loved ones, to ask the question, are you feeling suicidal? Are you thinking of ending your own life? There's kind of this myth out there that, oh my gosh, if I bring it up, I'm going to be putting ideas into somebody's head. And that's not the case. What happens is we expect people to reach out when they're having a hard time, and they don't. And so when we reach out, either through a brief text, a phone call, having a coffee, that it helps them. It opens the door for people to say, I'm really having a hard time, or I'm really, thinking of ending my own life. And that gives us the opportunity to connect people to help. And when we do that, that only not helps them. I mean, that helps them, but it also helps us, because we know that connection is the best thing we can do for our mental health. Connection to our community, connection to people, connection to nature, connection, to the ocean, whatever. That being that connected piece to our environment, to the world, is helpful for all of us.
It is Maureen Dunleavy. She's with us as the Regional Senior Vice President for Guidance Care Center, guidancecarecenter.org online. And I would assume that the transportation services provided by Guidance Care Center in our county do help with those connections as well, and keeping people engaged and active rather than withdrawn.
I mean, there's lots of tools out there. So, like we talked about, yes, we have lots of services that we can help provide. The other thing, in addition to being able to get to your medical appointments or to your psychiatric appointment, is a lot of people may be afraid about, speaking to a psychiatrist about medication because they don't want to be affiliated with people with problems or those people. But the reality is medication is a tool, just like we have tools on the physical health side to help manage our mental health. So learning about what those tools are and seeking out information about them helps you make a better decision. It doesn't mean that you're required or that you're going to be on medications for life, but it can be obviously very life-saving when you're at the point where you're thinking about ending your own life. So I want people to think about all of these services as tools to help manage mental health. We don't cure cancer. We don't cure HIV. We don't cure blood pressure problems. We manage them through medications and through services. And that is what Guidance Care Center does for the mental health.
Yes, for all ages, all incomes, all walks of life, there is help available at Guidance Care Center and guidancecarecenter.org, as well as the facilities up and down the Keys, and so many different tools available to help in our community, as you mentioned, Maureen, even to the point of assisted living, inpatient facilities at the Heron and others. But there's so many varieties of solutions out there, but it does require someone to reach out or someone around that person in need to reach out. What is the best way to do that?
And I would say too that even if it's not the person who needs the help and it's somebody who's worried about someone who needs the help, we always, welcome people to walk into any of our sites. Our sites, our outpatient sites in Key West, Key Largo, and Marathon are open 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. People can present at the front desk and just say, hey, I don't know what I need. I just need to get some information. I need to get some help. We've got the mobile crisis response team that's available 24/7. And again, that's through our main number and then number 8. So people can call after hours on a weekend. They will dispatch somebody to come out to where you are to be able to help with that. And then we have our inpatient crisis stabilization. If people who are feeling suicidal and want to say, oh my gosh, I recognize this, I need help right now. And or detox, we are the only detox throughout the entire Keys. So if people are struggling with alcohol and want to stop, especially if they've been drinking large amounts for long periods of time, it's very dangerous to stop cold turkey without medical help. In fact, it can actually be fatal. So we want to be able to do that in an environment where it is safe and with medical supports. So individuals can also call for voluntary admission of adults to either crisis stabilization or detox through our main number again, and that's option 1. So all of our services are available through that main number, 305-434-7660. You can listen to the script and it will go through all the various options. One's our inpatient CSU and detox, 2 is transportation, 4 is Key West, and then 8 is the crisis line. And so you don't have to listen to the script. So if you know what number you need, you can automatically press the number and it will take you right to that service. But it's also helpful if you are not familiar with what we do at the Guidance Care Center to listen to all the programs and services available. It's the entire continuum of care. Again, we want to be able to help people whether you can pay for it or not. So we're not going to turn anybody away. We're not going to provide the service. Our goal is we do not want to lose one more life in this community. And our goal is to be healthy.
Very well. Maureen Dunleavy, she's Regional Senior Vice President, Guidance Care Center, guidancecarecenter.org. And finally, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline as well is available.
Yeah, it's now 988. So it's 3 digits. Important to note that the call center that you will reach is connected to the area code on your cell phone. So you don't get somebody local. You may get somebody in another state or area, but they do know how to connect to our mobile crisis response team. So it's really good if someone's like feeling like I need to talk to somebody right now, and they know that that's all that needs to happen, to call 988. It's simple to remember. Also, if you can't remember the Guidance Care Center number, also good to know. If we're at a point where we're in crisis and we're, we need someone to come out immediately because we need to do some life-saving, connecting that person to hospitalization. That being in the hospital is temporary if someone is feeling suicidal, but those 48 hours can really be life-saving, especially if the person was drinking.
Yes, ma'am. Well, Maureen, thank you so much for, again, a very informative and helpful conversation. There's so much to talk about when it comes to mental health and Guidance Care Center. We will continue our conversations again in just a few weeks. Anything else we should add before we let you go?
Just that we don't want to lose one more life in this community. We're all in this together. And so remember, help's available. Don't forget to reach out to people you haven't seen in a while or care about. That helps them as much as it helps you. And it doesn't have to be a big check-in. Can just be something simple as seeing how someone's doing because you haven't seen them in a while.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you so much for all that you do. And we look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Maureen Dunleavy, she is Regional Senior Vice President, Guidance Care Center. Online, guidancecarecenter.org. This is Keys Talk 96.9, 102.5, the Talk of the Keys. We return with more of Good Morning Keys in a moment.
Good morning, dear. Breakfast almost ready?
In a minute. So did you happen to call someone about spalling repair for the house?
You know what? I knew I forgot something yesterday.
Honey, you know how important spalling repair is, especially here in the Keys. If that spalling damage gets any worse...
Don't worry. I'll call Design Center in Marathon.
When?
Today.
How about now?
Okay, dear. Now.
Design Center, the most efficient spalling contractor in the Keys, providing the fastest results. With over 40 years combined experience in spalling repair and a member of the International Concrete Repair Institute, Design Center can handle the largest jobs to small structures. They also handle quite a number of condominium and county projects. Mention this ad or the program you're listening to and receive 10% off your spalling repair. Visit DesignCenterFL.com or call 305-735-4042. Design Center, 6677 Overseas Highway Marathon. License number CGC 1523838. Remember, mention this ad or the program you're listening to and receive 10% off your spalling repair from Design Center.
This is Ollie North for 4-Star Rentals. 4-Star Rentals is the most complete rental store in the Keys. They can provide rental equipment for every do-it-yourself project from your house to your yard. Bobcats, chippers, chainsaws, and tile saws, you name it, they have it. They also deliver throughout the Keys. That's 4-Star Rentals. Model marker 4.5 on Stock Island. These guys are really good. That's 4-Star Rentals. Go see them soon.
Check us out. What Colonel Ollie North says is absolutely true. We're locally owned and operated. We offer a fleet of delivery trucks for fast all-in-one delivery. 4-Star Rentals is the oldest tool rental and party store in the Florida Keys. We make it easy to get that job done for that party or very special event. We're located at mile marker 4.5 in Key West, or just call us and we'll come to you. 4-Star Rentals, 294-7171. That's 294-7171. Remember, Colonel Ollie North never lies.
Historic Pepe's Cafe in Key West, founded in 1909, still does things the old way. Diachronic, if you will. How about fresh squeezed juices? Think how good that margarita or Greyhound will taste. Blue Point oysters shuck to order because oysters work better that way. Fresh breads and outstanding specials in an eatery that opened the same year Ole Evinrude invented the first outboard motor. And get a jump on someone's birthday and check out our retail offerings for some great gift ideas. Pepe's Cafe, Old Town Key West, of course.
The voice of Monroe County, yours. This is Good Morning Keys on Keys Talk 96.9, 102.5.
Good morning, Keys. Keys Talk 96.9, 102.5, the Talk of the Keys. Thank you for that traffic update from the newsroom. We're going to say good morning to Christine Hurley. She is the county administrator for Monroe County. Good morning to you, Christine.
Good morning to you and the listeners.
Yes, thanks so much for being here. Boy, we have had a busy Busy few weeks. Finally had the state budget passed. We'll see if that's still going to have any impact on us, depending upon whether and how much of the veto line item pen is wielded by the governor. So it's not yet done, but it's getting there.
Right.
And property tax reform, that's not done either because it does require a 60% threshold from the voters at a referendum in the fall. There's a lot in that package, though, that did get passed by the legislature on Monday. So let's talk about the big concerns from the county's perspective, how those concerns were addressed, and how we might be looking going forward.
I'm glad you're doing this, Michael, because I think there's a lot of different things being said out in the public. And one thing I really want to call attention to is our board has not even met about this yet. So next Wednesday, June 10th, they will be meeting and we'll get to discuss it publicly. So what happened is when the governor published his bill Tuesday before last Tuesday, we got a copy of it. And of course, we didn't have a board meeting before it was called into special session, which started very quickly. So our legislative director, Lisa Tennyson, and key staff members worked for days reviewing the bill, trying to, see what we saw within it, because we had all been anticipating this. And frankly, I don't know that our board is against it. Let me just say it like that, because I think everybody's out in the public acting like we've taken some stance against it. We have not. What we did do is work with our mayor to write a letter to every House member and Senate member, because the first bill only had about 5 or 6 items a local government could spend ad valorem tax money on, and it did not include the constitutional offices or most of general government, including state mandated programs. So yeah, I mean, and listen, when you're working this fast, it's really hard to disseminate information. You know that. So what we did is not at all address the tax exemption or the additional homestead exemption. What we did was work with our mayor to write a letter that said, please consider adding these uses that are legitimate county core functions. And the great news is that the Senate and House did add those things. We also worked with the constitutional offices because most of them have their own associations that lobby at the state level, and they knew that they were not included. So it was kind of a group effort focused on what we really had to make sure was in that bill. Where we go from here now is, I first want to say, if it passes in November, it becomes effective January 1st, 2027, which means it will not impact the budget that we're working on this year.
Okay.
And, messaging out to our own staff, making sure they understand that was important as well, because people start to panic, worried about losing their jobs, things like that. So we're working, internally on our current budget without that type of impact. Now, next week, when we present this to our board, Florida Association of Counties produced projections. It's hard to produce projections this far in advance. And so you've got to keep these numbers I tell you today, and the listeners, as this is the first guess. But what we're seeing right now is that for fiscal year 28, so next year's budget, we would have approximately 13 million removed from our ad valorem taxes. And to put that in perspective, last year, under kind of the government efficiency umbrella, we cut about 15 million out of the budget. So it's a little bit close to what we did last year. And then the following year, when the homestead exemption would go from 150,000 to 250,000, that would be about another $28 million impact.
And
So,
to put that in perspective, what is the overall county budget?
well, that's the hard part.
Okay.
The overall county budget is usually between 600 to 700 million, but that includes revenue sources, sales tax, tourist development tax, airport tax. The ad valorem budget is about usually a little under 170 million. And what is primarily funded from that, and this is the hard part, is public safety and constitutional officers. So the bill did not protect or freeze in time or disallow the county to, how can I say this, not impact police and fire. Many people expected that it would, because the state has been very, very protective, and we're glad because we always focus on public safety. They thought it would be protected. So we're gonna, I've been emailing our different official officers for those agencies so that they see everything that has happened. And we'll discuss that next week. And it'll be up to our board. There's a lot of different options we're already throwing around, but they will have to make decisions to either cut services or increase millage, because you can still increase millage all the way up to 10 mils, and we're the lowest tax rate in Florida. So we're better off than many, many counties. The other interesting thing about us is our homestead exemption is less than 20% of our homes. There are counties in Florida who have 50 or 60% of their homes at homestead. And their impacts are very substantial.
So the primary concern is really not the amount of the cuts as a percentage, but really what the cuts would affect and what types of services, and some of those certainly seem to be very critical.
Yeah. So we can shift revenues. We can decrease office hours. We're throwing out a ton of ideas, and it'll all be, presented to the board during the budget process, and they'll make these, I'm going to call it, difficult decisions.
And unfortunately, it's met with a lot of uncertainty. There's no certainty that this will pass by the voter resolution, but if it does, we need to be prepared. And as you said, Christine, we already cut, was it 15 million from the budget last year? So finding those cuts again, possibly, would be a pretty big challenge, it would seem.
It definitely will be, but we're hoping that with creative ideas and, participation by everyone, this is a little bit weird to say out loud, but if you make everybody a little upset, but not super upset, maybe you will have done a good job.
Well, there has to be some give and take, I'm sure.
Yes.
Not everybody is going to be happy in any circumstance. That is also true. It's Christine Hurley. She is the county administrator for Monroe County. Keys Talk 96.9, 102.5, the talk of the Keys. And Christine, you had said 20% of our residences here in the county are homestead generally?
A little bit less than that, yes.
Okay. And will this have an impact on renters as well? Is that, I had heard somewhere, and again, this is where we need to clarify things, that there could be reductions for second homes and rental properties, et cetera.
Yeah, so this is hard for people to understand. Currently, second homeowners, non-homesteaded properties, commercial, industrial, businesses, there is a cap of 10% on the amount their value can increase. What that means is the property appraiser, when he does the estimates for how much a property is valued at, it can be worth more than we collect taxes on because of that 10% cap. This bill would roll that back from 10% to 5%, meaning the valuation of the property is going up, but they're capping it at the 5%. And when you go to levy taxes on that property, you can only levy the tax on the capped value. So people are out there talking about what this would do to affordability for sure. And while the cap exists and it would mean it would control the maximum amount of the ad valorem value, if the board decided to increase millage, the millage would shift a little bit more over to the non-homesteaded properties mathematically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it does tie right back to affordability, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the businesses, you know, they pay a lot of tax money. Of course, most of our businesses are tourism related, and frankly, our county serves so many more in population every day because of our tourism population. So it's funny, around the state, we're looked at as a small county with our 80,000 or so permanent residents, but the services we provide are like a medium-sized county in the state.
Yes. Wow. Plenty of challenges, no doubt about it. And whether you're pro or con, it doesn't seem like the state has made it really easy on running a county or a municipality. But there's plenty of challenges ahead. Again, Christine Hurley, County Administrator for the County of Monroe, Keys Talk 96.9, 102.5, the Talk of the Keys. Christine, you stepped into the job at quite the time.
I know. I was thinking about that recently. Like, what was my destiny supposed to be in this world? I wanted to do positive, proactive things, and
you did.
It's been a lot of challenging work to bring us, I would say, more in line and become more efficient. That I'm good with. Now, this is going to be another challenge of how do we provide services at a good level for our citizens and spend a lot less money.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate how you have led us thus far and administrated all of these changes. And we hope that you remain in the position continuing because we need your even keeledness going through all these murky waters, if I can put it that way. But, actually, we do have Commissioner Rashine on deck to speak to us more about this issue, so we will get to her as well. But is there anything else you'd like to comment on regarding this topic? And then at some point, we'll have to get to other county business because I know there's more things on the agenda.
There is. No, I just say to the citizens, educate yourselves, learn what this means. Everybody wants a tax break. We are all, every one of us, challenged with expenses right now. And with public input, we will work together to make these decisions. And our board always recognizes that. So be educated. It's a really important decision.
Yes, it really is. And we'll continue to try to do as much as we can to provide that transparency and clarity with the help of people who are directly involved, people like you. So please call on us at any time that you need to continue to get the word out as far as what truly is happening.
I appreciate that. And you have a great weekend.
Yes, ma'am. You do the same. Christine Hurley, County Administrator for Monroe County. Keys Talk 96.9, 102.5. The Talk of the Keys. We'll return with more of Good Morning Keys on this Friday in just a moment.
Are you frustrated by weight gain even though you constantly diet? Do you have low energy or always feel tired? It could be hormonal imbalance. Hormonal imbalances, especially as we age, can be the cause of depression, weight gain, mood swings, decreased libido, and many other chronic conditions. At Keys Med Spa, we have helped thousands of women and men regain their hormonal balance with BioT, bioidentical hormone optimization therapy, and the results are life-changing. Keys Med Spa BioT hormone therapy is safe, effective, painless, and affordable. And the big difference at Keys Med Spa, this is all overseen by renowned Dr. Peterson, who has had a medical practice in the Keys for over 27 years. Cool sculpting, Botox, skin treatments, BioT hormone therapy, and more. Dr. Peterson and his team are here to help you maintain your youthful glow and vitality. To see if BioT hormone therapy is right for you, call Keys Med Spa today at 305-587-9183.
The Greenhouse. Have you been there yet? We even spell it with 3 E's to help you smile when you say it. That's our goal. We carry the largest selection of hemp-derived THC and CBD products in Monroe County. If you've been taking medication for anxiety, depression, inflammation, lack of sleep, or muscle and joint pain, and it's just not working, or you don't like the side effects, we can help. If you're looking to chill, relax, escape, focus, or even break out into euphoric fits of laughter, we can help there too. No medical card is needed. You just have to be 21 or over. Our 3 locations are open 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. In Key West, we're at 431 Front Street, just in front of Mallory Square. In Marathon, you can find us at mile marker 52 at 10875 Overseas Highway. In Key Largo, we're at 99304 Overseas Highway in the middle of the road. Swing on by, share your goals with us, and we'll recommend a product to help you reach them. And we back our recommendations with a 100% money-back guarantee. The Greenhouse. Stop on by and find out what the buzz is all about today.
Visit one of the 12 locations of the Greenhouse, including 9 in the Keys and featuring their newest store at 3128 North Roosevelt, Key West.
Hey, Key West, Danny Hughes here from Two Friends. Really from Two Friends. So Maura and I were sitting at breakfast in the bar, listening to live music at 8:30 a.m. on a Tuesday. She's about to enjoy some huevos rancheros and me shrimp and grits with fried oysters. Heart healthy. And Maura says, Dorothy, we're not in Kansas anymore. It was perfect because we didn't move here because Key West is like a lot of other places. We moved here because it isn't like any other place on earth. So meet your friends or make your friends at Two Friends, 512 Front Street in Old Town, Key West, or twofriends.com.
Good Morning Keys on Keys Talk 96.9, 102.5.
And good morning, Keys. Busy morning here, and we're going to check in with the queen of multitasking, if I can call you that with all due respect. It is Commissioner Holly Rashine, who's about to board an aircraft and still taking the time to talk to us. So we don't want to make you miss your flight. You, of course, have the legislative perspective. Christine Hurley, actively involved as our county administrator in the property tax issues that are going on right now that could affect our county in a very big way. But good morning to you, Commissioner.
Oh, good morning, Michael, and thank you so much. And I always will find time for you and your listeners.
Well, you are so generous. Thank you. And we also
Yes.
appreciate your leadership, your service, and your perspective on the legislative process,
Yes.
which we're dealing with firsthand right now. But as Christine did say, it's important to kind of get out. Well, it is important to get out the clarity and the truth about a lot of these issues, because there's all kinds of perspectives floating around in the ether, I guess it is. But of course, we are talking about the fact that the state legislature did pass the Florida property tax elimination plan that'll go to the voters in the fall, needing a 60% threshold. However, on the local level and on the county level, part of the big concern apparently was the fact that the allowed categories for expenditures on ad valorem taxes was pretty limited. And first and foremost, we really needed to include some critical services and areas. And that's what that letter was all about.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, hats off to our mayor for, expressing our concerns, Keys wide. And I'm sure lots of folks around the state and county and city level governments are advocating for those changes that did ultimately happen. But, let's just start by saying, who wouldn't want lower property taxes, right? I mean, you're a property owner, I'm a property owner. It sounds amazing. But let's look at how far we've come though as a state. We've done a really, really good job over the last decade or so in lowering property taxes, keeping that rate as low as possible, but still being able to provide core services. And now we're seeing that, on steroids by the action taken this week by the legislature and being prompted by our governor. And it's a little bit concerning. And again, I'm a fiscal conservative, and I find it so bizarre saying no, we went a little too far this time. But like you said, ultimately voters are going to have to approve this. The 60% margin is a high one, and again, I think the likelihood of it passing is probably pretty high. But when you pass such massive sweeping reforms, you've got to think about how to plug the hole that you're creating, right? So we're going to have to replace revenue somehow. Are we going to have to start charging our people to go to the parks? That means locals too. Or, we could be so extreme and say, wow, are we going to have to start charging for 911 calls? Just things like that. We're already, I know you probably heard this from Christine, but we've already gone through a very robust process of cutting our budget, clearing out some wasteful spending, and this is going to force us to even be more creative and do some fun shifts and things like that. But there's still some services that I'm in question. I'm questioning: are we going to be able to provide for parks and beaches improvements? What does that mean for our infrastructure, roads, bridges? Property taxes, while they can be painful, it's not, again, they cover so many things, right? We have to talk about our constitutional officers, whether it's the sheriff, the state attorney, our supervisor of elections, tax collector. I mean, property taxes really do, they're spent on important functions that make our communities work and our lives, easier. And I'm just a little bit concerned on how we're going to make up those funds, because I too want to keep improvements going and make sure we have the most amazing county in the state of Florida. But our first hit is 18 million in first year, or 13 million?
I believe, yes. Well,
is it 13 million? And then
13,
the next year
13 and 18.
it jumps to 29 million.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
whoa,
Yep.
whoa. I'm sorry, I don't have the numbers.
No,
in
that's
front of me,
okay.
but
No,
that's-
and Christine
that's
helped
like-
us through
it's-
that. Yeah. Yep. 13
we're
and
not going to
28.
feel that. We're not going to feel that this year or next year, but then you're going to start to see, the depletion of services and maybe the shininess and, the upkeep will be, hurt. And, I don't know what that looks like, Michael. And, are we going to have to raise sales tax? I mean, it's just, there's a lot of questions. And as a county official, I'm a little nervous, but then as a fiscal conservative, I'm torn. So it's that's the quagmire that I'm in. And I know you wanted my legislative perspective.
Yeah.
And now that I've been a county commissioner and seen the other side, I have a very clear vision on where we stand. And I'm sure it was hard for the House members, our legislators, and obviously the senators to kind of swallow this, but it had so much political pressure and power behind it. I don't know that there, was a choice but then to vote yes. The governor has not signed the budget yet. That was very, very timely. He wanted to get his measure through.
Oh, yeah.
And now, you'll see the budget be signed here probably pretty soon. And those that supported his measure will probably, their budget priorities will probably survive. And those that didn't might, see the red veto pen, strike through their item.
Yeah.
So a lot to think about. And then how do we move forward, Michael? Do we campaign against saving property tax money? I mean, or do we just focus on the services that might, suffer under this change? I don't know.
Well, and I know the governor's going to be out there campaigning very actively, maybe even spending some money to do that in favor of this as a cornerstone.
There was an item in the bill that would have provided the governor $5 million to promote this, and the legislature did cut that out.
Yeah, they also cut the fund, was it? I think for some grants available to make up some of the shortfalls. But apparently, even state mandated programs were being excluded from this spending, which was addressed in the letter from the mayor and the board of county commissioners to try to get that reversed, and that was successful.
Yes.
But
it was. And, there's probably some unintended consequences, obviously, that are going to be, we're going to figure that out here probably pretty soon. But definitely it's got us on our toes.
Yes. Commissioner Holly Rashine with us, also former state legislator. Keys Talk 96.9, 102.5. The Talk of the Keys. Last year, we cut $15 million from the county budget. this would mean a cut of another reduction of $13 million for fiscal year 2028, $28 million for the following year. Those are big cuts. It has been said that homesteaded properties in this county are about 20% of the residences. So that may seem like ad valorem taxes represent a relatively small percentage of the budget, but yet this would also apparently trickle through to business taxes with the cap on the rates, et cetera, and the values, and could trickle down again to renters as well as businesses overall. So the impacts could go beyond just, the homestead ad valorem.
Exactly. And, you got to be really careful when the balance is off, right? And so I feel like it's a little heavy-handed, if you will. If we're going to start leaching into our workforce, our economy, our businesses are going to start to feel the squeeze. We may have to come back and the legislature may have to come back and make some tweaks. So I think there's a lot of unknowns out there. It'll be interesting to watch our budget process for this fiscal year. And are we going to make a run on some things while we still have money to spend? Let's go crazy. Let's go crazy this year. And then, obviously we're going to have to call it back a little bit in a big way, actually, next year. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, and, things like veteran services and affordable housing initiatives, those kinds of things are imperatives and constitutional officers. There are some who might say that, Parks and Rec and that kind of thing could be a pay for play and that would not affect us as much. But again, that's a whole other debate. What is quality of life and what qualifies for it?
Yes, and we, our Parks and Beaches, department is incredible. I mean, look how many people, both locals and visitors alike, visit our parks. And we just discussed, charging for parking and things like that at our last meeting. Are we going to have to bump that up? So, who, in the end of the, at the end of the day, really wins? Obviously, homeowners and things like that. But then in the back end, do they end up paying again because they have to pay higher fees?
Well, and I was speaking.
Is it a real savings?
Yeah, I was just saying. I was speaking with State Attorney Dennis Ward on the air yesterday, and made the comment that he might have to work out of his car if this goes through.
Yes, those are real concerns. And,
hopefully not. But yes,
we can't lower salaries and things like that for our sheriff deputies and our firemen and women. I mean, they're going to go to other counties. I know other counties are facing this challenge as well, but our cost of living could, that could, be the nail in the coffin for them to leave our community. And so now we're left without a fully staffed fire department or sheriff's office, or, is our state attorney going to have to let go of assistant state attorneys to make up for the, the wheels of justice are already slow. Obviously, government moves at the pace of molasses. So, are we going to have to lay off more people? Last year was that was a really, really tough time for us at the county. And is that going to increase? Now Florida's unemployment rate is going to rise. I mean, there's so many unknowns. We don't know them right now.
Yeah. Again, Holly Rashine, she is a county commissioner, also former state legislator on Good Morning Keys. And as you said it, yes, Commissioner, there's a lot of unknowns. And I certainly, I want to bring out all perspectives and all sides of every argument as much as possible. This is an open forum for that. And certainly we don't want to try to scare anybody into things, but nonetheless, we're going to provide clarity, transparency as much as possible. There's a lot yet to understand about this and the implications, but, there are some scenarios that could be very, very negative.
Interesting.
In a number of ways.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but again, it's unclear.
It is. And we never want to degrade anything, right? We don't want to downgrade our services. We don't want our parks, our roads to fall in disrepair because we don't have the funds and the resources to do what we need to do. Again, the governor has done an incredible job making sure that our state's economy is strong, that our state is open, that we are still the free state of Florida. This was a priority of his. There was a lot of not, I don't want to say secrecy, that sounds silly, but, just kind of, he took a long time to come out with his plan. And so that's why you saw, this quick special session. They kind of rammed it through the process, and now we've got to kind of deal with the fallout from that. Yeah. But again, just I find myself in such a quandary because I want to lower property taxes, but now from a commission side, I also want to provide the services at the highest level that I possibly can for our residents and our visitors.
Yeah, and I certainly don't want to downgrade or downplay the importance of any of these issues or imperatives or initiatives either. I mean, Parks and Rec, for instance, does tie back to our economy, not only for the quality of life for the residents, but also the ability to attract tourists, et cetera, as you said. So there's a lot to understand, a lot to consider here as we move forward through some fairly uncertain times. It is interesting, though. I think one of my takeaways from today is your statement that you are, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you are, if I got this right, you have some confidence that this could pass. And 60% has been a pretty high threshold for other resolutions. But it's interesting to note that this has some possibility of actually becoming reality.
It does. And the funny thing, I can't remember if it was, I don't think it was last election cycle, maybe the previous cycle, but there was a property tax savings initiative on that ballot and it failed. But I feel like this one is so big and it's getting so much buzz that I can't even remember what it was. I know we passed one for veterans. I feel like there was maybe a senior provision somewhere in there, but this one, is every home in Florida. So it'll be interesting. Again, there's a lot of buzz, but the election's not till November. Yeah. And it's an election year. It'll be interesting to see how candidates tackle this issue while they're on the campaign trail, when in certain forums, and it's something to watch. And again, I don't have a crystal ball. Maybe the voters have voted down, but I feel like this one is a little bigger than previous initiatives.
Well, we've seen, what was it, the recreational marijuana seems to not quite ever get over the finish line.
It got close.
But this, with property taxes and affordability, it affects pretty much everybody in the state. So it's going to be a very active debate, and we will do our very best to continually provide transparency and accessibility and clarity as much as possible. So
yes, for sure. Yeah. And you kind of mentioned something that I was thinking about is affordability, right? So we're having a little bit of an expensive moment right now in terms of gas and inflation and things like that, cost of groceries and what have you. And so do we trade that? Do we lower property taxes enough to make up for that? Or do we have to raise fees so people are still paying on the front end? I don't know. It's just, again, I'm not an economist, but I think we've got a lot going on here, Michael.
Well, it is early in the process, and there will be a lot of discussions, starting with the BOCC meeting coming up next week. I know there's other items on the agenda, but this is kind of taking up the entire oxygen in the room for now.
I was going to say it's sucking the air out of the room.
It is. But nonetheless, I also don't want to be the cause of the increase in travel expense by causing you to get another plane ticket.
I'm good. Yes.
But anything else
anything
else you'd like to mention at this time, Commissioner?
Yeah. Again, just I hope that your listeners will understand that we're being very thoughtful about this. We're grateful to the state of Florida and all the resources that they bring to the Keys. And, we are going to be thoughtful about this process. And like you said, we'll kick it off next Wednesday, and we're going to have that discussion, and we're going to keep the tough decisions to a minimum, I hope. And while at the same time crafting our budget moving forward for this year.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you for all that you do, your commitment to our county, and all of your service to the state and to our locality as well. With that, you have a very safe travel, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we will talk again soon. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Michael.
Yes, ma'am. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye now. Commissioner Holly Rashine with us. She is Commissioner District 5 for Monroe County. Keys Talk 96.9, 102.5, the Talk of the Keys. And we'll be right back with more Good Morning Keys in a moment.
Let's talk trash. I'm Taylor Conrath, and my family's been taking care of your family's trash for years. In fact, we've operated Marathon Garbage Service and kept the Middle Keys clean since my great-grandpa, John Conrath, founded the company in 1950. That's a lot of years talking trash and hauling trash. And these days, we take care of your family's recyclables in addition to commercial and residential waste removal. The Conrath family and our entire team of great employees takes pride in keeping our community clean, from the north end of the 7 Mile Bridge to Craig Key. Now it's my generation of Conraths working together with my grandfather and my dad to continue the tradition and commitment started in 1950 at Marathon Garbage Service. The Conrath family is always there for your family. If you need to talk trash, just call us at 305-743-5165. That's 305-743-5165. Or visit us at 4290 Overseas Highway in Marathon and online at marathongarbageservice.com.
Step back in time. Step back into Old Town. Step into Old Town Bakery with fresh baked treats like pastries, cookies, brownies, and fresh breads made every morning. Enjoy hot and cold delicious ground coffee always brewing and handcrafted breakfast and lunch sandwiches made to order on oven fresh breads. And now Old Town Bakery features spinach mushroom feta quiche and ham and cheese quiche, delectable for breakfast or lunch by the slice. Get a whole quiche pie by ordering in-store with 24 hours advance notice. And enjoy new cream-filled croissants with chocolate or vanilla filling and award-winning fresh baked pies, including their key lime pie, voted the best in the Keys. Pick up their unique Old Town Bakery t-shirts for a friend or yourself and give the gift of deliciousness with a gift card available for purchase in-store. And their catering menu is available to make that next event memorable. Old Town Bakery on the corner of Eaton and Grinnell. Stop in or order online. OldTownBakeryKeyWest.com.
Your home is your castle, your sanctuary. Rack Advanced Control brings together the electrical and smart technology that make your home comfortable, secure, and effortless to live in. Imagine music flowing seamlessly through every room, beautiful lighting that adjusts to your lifestyle, motorized shades, climate control, and energy management all working together automatically. From integrated audio and video systems to discrete security cameras and professional electrical services, Rack Advanced Control designs and installs technology that works in perfect harmony. Originally founded in California, Rack Advanced Control has over 20 years of experience serving the luxury residential market and was honored as a 2024 Lutron Excellence Award Integrator. Now with an office in Key West, Florida, Rack brings world-class smart home design and electrical expertise to the Florida Keys. Make your home smarter, safer, and more enjoyable to live in. Call 786-647-9647 or visit rackav.com. Rack Advanced Control. Intelligent luxury, expertly installed.
This is Good Morning Keys on Keys Talk 96.9, 102.5.
And Keys Talk 96.9, 102.5, the talk of the Keys. Welcome back to Maria Protopsaltis, our good friend from Samuel's House. Good morning to you, Maria.
Good morning, Michael.
And good to see you and hear from you as well. So let's talk about Samuel's House and its mission. It's been how many years now? Since the beginning, we had, I did not know this, but SafePort had been closed, showing a very desperate need in our community for Samuel's House and its initiatives. And you've been fulfilling that need ever since. That was, and I was trying to find the year. I had it before, but how many years has it been?
So Samuel's House, we opened our first shelter, the emergency shelter, which is now called the Mary Spotswood Women's Center. That was opened October 1st, 1999. So we've been providing our services for 26 years in our community. Mm-hmm. And you're absolutely right. As we mentioned, when SafePort closed, that was a big housing program that had a history of helping people, and it closed, and there was a lot of women and women with children that were displaced with nowhere to go. So Samuel's House, Elmira thought, this is a good time. This is a good time. The community needs this.
Yeah.
And back as it was needed then, it still remains needed today. There's, as we know, there's many issues with housing and shortage of affordable housing for the workforce. So it still remains an issue today. And we get calls all the time all the time for, just think about it this way. One person has an injury and is unable to work, so they're facing potential homelessness. They lose a member of their family, or just, none of those things happen, nothing catastrophic, but the landlord calls them and says, I'm selling my property, you've got to get out. So, and then there's nothing in their price range that they can afford. So those are the types of things that we're working with and dealing with on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. Well, Samuel's House, nonprofit, operating 3 shelters since, it started, as you said, 1999, providing safe, nurturing housing for homeless women, mothers with children, and intact families. The mission to offer compassionate care, coordination, strengthening physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being while actively engaging our community to raise awareness, support, and lasting make that stability for women, children, and families in need. And yes, I plagiarized that from samuelshouse.org, but very well put. So, yes.
Yeah, you don't need to hold back with us, Michael. We're very proud of our mission, and you're absolutely right. So October 1st, 1999 was the first building. And then again, the need continues to grow. So back in 2007, we built Kathy's Hope, another facility for women and women with children. And we soon after, again, the need's still very much there, still very much growing. But this time in 2010, we built another building called Casa de Meredith. And that is for men with children. It's for families. And of course, it can accommodate women with children. So we have 3 facilities. And I know I mentioned it to you the last time we spoke. We have recently, we are community partners with AH and the Florida Keys Outreach Coalition, FKOC. They have actually turned over their women's program to us. So we will actually have at the end of the renovations and all of the plans, the big plans that AH is spearheading to revamp and revive those complexes there in Poinciana Gardens, we will have a 4th facility.
Oh, congratulations. That is great news. We are speaking with Maria Protopsaltis, Samuel's House. You can find out more at samuelshouse.org. Miss Island Queen. Obviously, all of these initiatives and needs being fulfilled requires money. Well, Miss Island Queen this year raising over $214,000. Phenomenal.
We are, when you and I jumped on the call, I said it's only been 1 month and 1 day, and we are still in awe of this fundraising event. I mean, we are so grateful to Kirby Productions, her team, all the contestants this year and all the previous years, and all the stage hands, the light, the sound, the coaches, the money honeys. I mean, there's so many moving parts, and it really does take a village. And then it also takes our community to participate and show up and want to be a part of it. So she has created something truly amazing, truly outstanding. And we are so blessed, and we're so grateful for each and every person. That's especially Kirby and Britt. Britt was a part of the conception of the event, and still remains very much supportive and a part of it today.
Yes.
So we're very, very, very grateful for that. And it's only been a month and a day. That's it. But we still can't forget. It's still very much on our minds and our hearts.
Well,
and we can't on it. There's not enough words, Michael. There's not enough words for it.
The positive impact of their efforts and the entire Miss Island Queen impact will be long lasting. So a month is not a very long time, and hopefully the effects will last much longer than that of all those efforts. So volunteers, we do have categories, catter days, one of those. Yeah, we know of it mostly, but it is a big fundraising initiative at Sloppy Joe's on Saturdays. That's why it's Catter Day. And October, Samuel's House will be the beneficiary. So we're looking for volunteers now.
Yes, we are very grateful to the Sloppy Joe's Foundation. They have found a way to give back to nonprofits in our community, and they have a streamlined process. You go and apply, and you pick the month, and you may or may not get the month, but we did it our first time last year, and we had a blast. We had an absolute blast, and this year we're doing it during October. So, and we want to do it right. We know we're starting early. We understand it's June, but I've already met with my first volunteer yesterday, who's really excited. She's gonna get some kitty cat costumes. I mean, it's gonna be, I love that enthusiasm, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for good groups. We also have some return volunteers from last year that we're exceptionally grateful for. But we're putting out there this year again to make it fun, to have more participation. And I mean, if you can attest, Michael, we're a fun group to be around.
Oh, absolutely.
Help us educate people about our mission, which we're very, we're very honored to do this work and to help the many people that we can assist. So, and even though that can be homelessness and homeless prevention can be a heavy topic, I think we do a good job of keeping it light, keeping it fun, getting some face painting involved, but throwing on some tunes and making the best of it. Maybe throwing on a costume or two.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, and as it should be. But again, you're doing such tremendous work at Samuel's House, shelter, stability, and support for women, women with children, and intact families across the Florida Keys. Maria, you've been very patient with us this morning and very generous with your time. Anything else we should mention before we let you go?
Just immense gratitude for you, Diana, our community. Again, I want to just add that this is why I always say thank you, because we could not do the work that we do. We couldn't help the people that we help without our community, without you. So we are so grateful. We can't stress that enough.
We are so grateful for you and everybody at Samuel's House and all the tremendous work that you do. Bless you. Have a wonderful day and weekend, Maria. Thanks so much for being here.
Bless you, and have a wonderful day and weekend too, Michael.
Take care. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
It is Keys Talk 96.9, 102.5, The Talk of the Keys, and you can catch this program on Keys Living TV, channel 27, Roku streaming, as well as on your downloaded app for your mobile device, 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. today. We're going to get right to Glenn Beck, as well as breaking news as soon as it happens, local, state, national news every half hour, weather around the clock. Keys Talk 96.9, 102.5, The Talk of the Keys.